to talk with Bryce Green, but I've got him on the line, so I'm going rocket fast there now because he is a very important guest indeed. He's an independent writer, political analyst. He's been a guest on the show before and was extraordinarily popular with the viewers. We're glad to see him back. Bryce Green, welcome to the show. I had so much to talk to you about before I read Seymour Hersh's, I think, epic analysis of the blowing up of the Nord Stream, about which we have spoken before. Did he persuade you?
I think he did. And this was something that a lot of people on the left had suspected, a lot of people who were critical of, the Biden, Blinken, Newland, all of them, critical of their motives in Ukraine, critical of how they would, treat their so-called ally, Germany. We suspected that the United States would have something to do with it. There was also some speculation about the United Kingdom having something to do with it. But the detail with which Cy Hirsch was able to report on this, I think it gives it a lot of credibility. Now, Cy Hirsch, he's very well connected within the intelligence communities. He's reported on numerous important stories, from the My Lai massacre in Vietnam in 1969 to Abu Ghraib in Iraq, to reporting about the Skripal poisoning. A lot of this stuff, it comes from the heart of the intelligence community. And what Hirsch described, I think it's very credible, and we can go into that in some more detail.
Yes, I want people to read the piece, but I'd love you to, as it were, review it.
The long and short of it is that the Biden administration had conceived of the plan of destroying the pipeline as far back as fall of 2021, months before the Russian invasion actually began. Now, why would they be doing this is one of the critical questions that I think that a lot of mainstream discussion really avoids. For a long time, the U.S. has been opposed to the Nord Stream pipeline. The pipeline is able to transport natural gas cheaply from Russia to Germany to help fuel Germany's industrial economy. Now, a close link between Russia and Germany has long been opposed to what U.S. has in mind for Europe. In fact, the entire impetus of NATO, in effect, was to keep Germany down, keep the Americans in, and keep the Russians out. And that hasn't changed over the last decades. And when Germany announced the plan for the Nord Stream pipeline, the U.S. did everything it could to oppose the pipeline, all the way to the point where, in fall of 2021, they were actually discussing plans to blow up the pipeline. And when the war started, and before the war, around the beginning of the war, the Biden administration, both Biden and Victoria Nuland, they gave the press some very cryptic statements about how they felt towards the pipeline. Biden at one point said that the Nord Stream pipeline will not go forward, and when asked about how he would be able to stop a German-Russian project, he said, he emphasized, like, we will be able to get it done. And later, Victoria Nuland said something along the similar lines. And what Cy Hirsch reported was that this was at the time where the plan was actually already underway, already in its planning stages, going forward. And according to Hirsch's reporting, the Norwegian government actually assisted the U.S. in a lot of the logistics of this. In fact, according to Hirsch, the actual planting of the explosives occurred during a Norwegian exercise in March, so months before the actual explosion. And at the last minute, the Biden administration worried that detonating it so close to the end of these exercises might implicate the West, might implicate the United States. And so they tried to do some last minute changes to make sure that they could detonate it at a time of their choosing. And, well, the rest is history. I mean, we saw the fact that we saw the pipeline explode. We saw the U.S. officials line up almost unanimously and point the finger at Russia without any evidence. And we saw the U.S. media system completely repeat that line and not even explore the possibility that the United States might have had something to do with it, might have had any advanced knowledge. And this is despite all of those statements that I was talking about, all these years of opposition to the pipeline, all that was completely ignored or in favor of blaming Russia without evidence.
Well, in the words of Groucho Marx, who are you going to believe, me or the evidence of your own lying eyes? With our own lying eyes, we saw all of these threats. We saw Newland, we saw Biden, we heard what they said, and now the world's greatest investigative journalist has given us chapter and verse, and we can believe Biden or we can believe him. Poor fools us if we believe Biden. But that makes your country both a terrorist and liar. Must make some people wonder, surely, Bryce, whether or not we're on the right side here.
You're exactly right, but our country, I'm sure you know, is no stranger to being terrorists or to being liars. Um, you can point to anything in the last decade of U.S. behavior, let alone the last 80, 70 years of U.S. behavior, to show that the U.S. has no objection to harming its allies. I mean, we spied on Angela Merkel's phone. We have no qualms about deceiving our own people, about deceiving our own publics. The disinformation that led us into Iraq is, something of a legend by now, but there are so many other things. Everything we've been told about Libya, about Syria, the sanctions that you were just discussing, we never talk about those. So uh, everyone is, who blindly follows the lines of anonymous U.S. officials or officials from the intelligence community, well, they're participating in a grand deception in American society that allows U.S. power to legitimize itself by distorting reality and, in a sense, creating their own reality for the American viewers, for American media consumers, for the American voters, and that if we're ever going to have any sort of serious change in how power is distributed around the world, we need to first confront what we're really dealing with, and we're dealing with a system that deals heavily in terrorism, in propaganda, in obfuscation, distortion, all sorts of tricks to obscure reality. And if the U.S. is willing to bomb a pipeline, lie about it, its allies' pipeline, and lie about it, well, then we need to confront this. We need to figure out, well, how are we going to deal with the realities of U.S. empire?
I wonder what the impact, Bryce, will be on German public opinion. Here we have pretty definitive proof, not just that the United States committed this crime against.
To have any sort of serious change in how power is distributed around the world, we need to first confront what we're really dealing with. And we're dealing with a system that deals heavily in terrorism, in propaganda, in obfuscation, distortion, all sorts of tricks to obscure reality. And if the U.S. is willing to bomb a pipeline, lie about it, its allies' pipeline, and lie about it, well, then we need to confront this. We need to figure out, well, how are we going to deal with the realities of U.S. empire?
I wonder what the impact, Bryce, will be on German public opinion. Here we have pretty definitive proof, not just that the United States committed this crime against their country, against their economy, against their vital infrastructure, but that the little dogs that run around behind the United States, or the rats that follow the elephant, feeding on its dropping, like Norway and others, participated. Indeed, the case of Norway, according to Hirsch, was a vital component of this attack on Germany. You wonder, don't you, what the impact on German public opinion this will have? Have they no dignity left?
All right, so this is a video of the moon that I took a couple weeks ago, and what I do is I do 360s on my telescope with my camera. Lights and shadows, and angles and distances of perspective. And once you start looking, and it's very important that everybody look at the moon. I think it's going to have one of the largest impacts, and going from the cloud level to the moon and realizing what you will realize. Anyways, once you start seeing everything, it'll become more clear. But just for the hell of it, I'm going to run through a bunch of images. Now, the reason it's easier for me to do this way, because I'm doing 360s, I don't have to go in with my camera and start going all over. But it is better if I do that. But right now, I'm very disappointed in the way the YouTube thing's going and everything. So I just don't want to be aggravated with putting a lot of time and energy into shit and then it gets deleted. I here with the patch. Now I'm cropping, but I'm only cropping from the right side because otherwise I have to go on the other side of the desk. But anybody else out there watching these videos can do the same thing. Go to my moon videos, and then after you do this with my videos, I advise you go to everyone else's moon videos as well. If I'm cropping from this way, I can also do this. I'm pulling different light into the camera as I'm cropping. And I'm going to point out a bunch of images, but I'm going to leave it up to you to make your own fancy cropper. I used to call this the Hydron cropping tool or a Hydron cropper, and all it is a piece of cardboard that I cut. I used to cut them triangular like this because I figured the builders are all triangular, so I should make, but no, it's actually slight curves actually work better for me. This one does have a triangular shape to it, but it's less sharp, it's less edgy. And I can go in on all these images and start pulling them all out for you, which is kind of what I'm doing. And then if I flip it around the other way, I can crop off at eyebrows on one image and bring their eyeballs into view for you and that kind of thing. Say, like I'm doing with this one here. So, but just for the hell of it, as I'm going along, I'm just going to run through some of my favorites. There's so many of them. All right, so you got an eye here that's looking off in that direction. If I can point my, he's looking off in that direction, starting up at the top, what I'm calling the top. But of course, when you see when I go around and do these 360s, there is no up, down, left, right, backward, forward, even in these things. For us, there is because we're human, but as far as the builders are concerned, they don't really care. So anyways, the next one down is what I used to call the wizard. Eye, nose right here, pointy nose. Got this mole on his, and his mouth is down here. He's got the ridge coming down. So, in the same time, not to confuse you, but right next to him is also I'm gonna get them for you right here, and it almost looks like scuba gear because of the shadow, the way the shadow comes in. And I'll tell you about these areas here. These areas are being influenced by humans. Humans actually are controlling the color. I can't say they're controlling the imagery, but humans bio effect on the earth. The humans are the biggest bio effect because we're the one encouraging all the biosystem to be as high as it is. The trees, the grass, the humans, the creatures of the earth, everything being so bio. Really, the foliage and the trees steal more of our energy from humans. It's unbelievable. And then we praise the trees. Let's see if I can do this from here. Yeah, I kind of can. All right, I don't even have to fucking get up, so that's good. Kind of roll around in my. Now these are all images as well. These are all different small images when you come in here and you look at them all. And one of the ones I'll point out to you, they tell you it's the man on the moon, And I'm going to have to get the wizard out of your mind. So let me get the wizard out, and I'll bring this guy in. Um, and it's probably not his best angle. I'll get him in a better angle later. But I need to take out all that. And his eyes are going to fall right below with these two areas, these two dark areas. His eyeballs fall right under there. Now, his nose is right here. His mustache is here. And a little bit of beard going on here. And he's got these big lips. But he also has another angle where these all become lips. And he's got a less hair going around his lips, and he's got this smoking apparatus coming out of his mouth. Now, this is not a full moon. I'm purposely grabbing the moon all through every cycle, and I've been doing this for a few months. I've been grabbing shots whenever I can because I'm looking for the timelines, and I want to know, because one thing I had realized early on was that the moon doesn't turn on a spinning wet pararocket ball type of thing that they tell us, just like the Earth don't. And the moon goes around us in a clockwise rotation. So I learned a lot about reverse telescope and standard telescope and all that kind of shit as I was going along. And as I'm collecting this digital collection of electromagnetic nanocarbon from the area we call the moon. And these images all around the edges, if we all get used to them and we get to know them, and we can do this on paper, you can do it on plastic, you can print them up, you can do them on a monitor, you can do this and photograph or video, pause. There's so many ways that we can digitally collect the EMNC from the moon. It's unbelievable that we turn on our televisions and go along with the nonsense. It's really crazy. Anyways, eyeball here, eyeball here. Now these seem to be, in a lot of different ways, seem to be sunglasses. They seem to be glasses of some kind. Not in this direction. Right now they play the part of what we humans would call eyeglasses up on the forehead, because it's going with these set of eyes that are under here. Okay? And I just cut off the rest yourself for, when you start doing this. Look around and start making yourself some cropping tools and start cropping, and you'll see it more clearly. I'm going to let it come in further too. But you can see, when you notice his eyeballs, you can also see he starts getting, you can start seeing the outline of things, right? And I had some really good moon videos on the Miguel Everyone channel, and I think I had to delete those. I think those were some of the ones that came into question, but they came out really good when I went and watched them. But I eventually got some kind of penalty for them. All right, so these glasses come off this way to look like they're going down the side of his head that would catch his ear back here. But I cannot explain inanimate objects. I can't give you an honest thing other than it looks it to me, or I'm seeing what I want to see, because I just don't see the true creator or the false creator / creator throwing in inanimate objects. But at the same time, I'm showing you this one image. Now, they call this image the man on the moon, but they only give you a small portion of him, and it does not go down. It does not go all the way down to his lips. It's like I think it's like this one here, which kind of falls in canine category. This is the one that Patrick from, I forget the name of his channel now, but I was working with Patrick for a little while, like I was with Rick, and Patrick noticed this one, the canine one. It goes with this bubble nose, this little goofy smiley face, and these big eyes, and he was going with that. But when you come down further, and when you got full moons, or even bigger than the moon that we have here, because this moon is not all the way out either, you start pulling in all these other things. Now, taking the camera yourselves and going in and looking at it, it makes a huge difference, because you can change the angles. You, the viewer, whoever you might be. And just like I'm going to do right now, I'll try to do it, but I got to move some extension cords here because I'm actually plugged in while I'm doing this. All right, so when I bring my angle way over here, see where I'm angled now, and I'm coming in this way, then I can make some images. It's not me making them, it's different angles, and it's all about angles and distances of perspective. So bring yourself in and out with your camera. Change your angles while you're looking at one place, and see and notice how, oh, okay, I get it. So if I'm standing here on the earth and I'm going to see this way, but if I'm standing down here on the earth and I go further to the south, then I'm going to see it this way. If I go further to the north and I'm going to see it this way, right? So you're going to see different images better depending on where you are standing on the earth. This moon is the false creator / creator's clock. It's the clock that he gave us. And it's not even being used by us, by the majority of the humans, but there are batches of people, groups of people out there who know how this all works, and they're purposely keeping it all from us. And it's got to stop. It's got to fucking stop. So there's the wizard. If I come in on that way, you can see the wizard a little bit better, and I could crop him if I wanted to, and bring it around. And I will on other videos. I'm just really aggravated today, and I don't want to put hours into doing this and going around on the moon, and then the fucking video gets deleted on me, or I can't upload it, or weird shit keeps happening. So this is the smoking device up a little closer. Bring it right here. This ends up being the smoking device of him. So here he comes here, but bang. I'm going to crop him just like I was telling my son in that other video about cropping with the top of the camera. It helps. So then it gives me the eyeball down here. The eyeball down here, you can even see pupils in him. You'll see his nose. You'll see the crown of his upper lip. You see the big lips. Now, one set of lips, like I said, is only this area. Then when you got a fuller moon, you're going to get the full lips. So let me try to get a little bit more of them. All right, so I'm starting to get more of his lips, and then his lips go all the way around here, and out from his lips comes this smoking device. So if I'm not pointing at it and I'm looking for the proper angles myself, that's why I'm telling you to do it yourself, then you will find the proper angle. And also keep in mind, lights and shadows. So when I'm making these moon videos, that's the reason I'm doing the 360s, because I'm pulling the light into the telescope at different angles. So therefore, each video is going to show certain images better than others. And then when you get the next angle, that same image you saw at the previous angle, you're going to see it at the new angle, and you're going to say, oh, I remember the shape of that. I remember where it is. Now that I'm at this angle, it really, now I see what he's talking about, that it looks like a wizard. Now I understand how this weirdo's talking about, and then you'll see other times parts will be missing. So like here, and again, it's image within image within image. So let me crop him down this way a little bit, because this one used to throw me off all the time because there's so many images and within them. So you got an eye here, and then you got this long, weird, area here. Well, that's really a face. When I turn this upside down, that's really a big face. But at this particular angle, there's always going to be other images within it. So right below it, we got the eye, nose, and a mouth open of that image there. And then when you start looking around that, you say, oh, okay. So it's going to end up, so I'm starting to hit the feline one now, because I'm changing my angles. And we also still don't have the whole entire area in here either, because there's a lot of the hairdo missing on this one here. I can see it right here. I can see the hairdo on this particular one of eye, nose here, and mouth open here, right? That's one of my favorite ones. I'm always going in on him. Here, I'll go in on him a little better for you. Let's see. There he is. Right, so his tongue's hanging out at this one. I've showed in many other videos. I can show you how we can knock him down. He's only at a medium chubbiness right here. I can make him fatter, and I can make him smaller. It's not me doing this. It's not magic. It's angles of perspective. So if I come this way and I pull some light into the camera like this, you're going to see it a little bit differently. I also have a green filter on the camera right now. That takes away some clarity, but it also adds some contrast. Here's the upside down face. You might be able to make them out now. I see them in all different directions now. It's not a brag. I'm just pointing out that you will also. So the one here I'm pointing out of eye, nose, and mouth. Here's his teeth. Right here you can see his teeth. You can see his tongue sticking out, right? I'm going to keep you on him. You can see his hairdo up here. Now, I know I can get him fatter, but again, These are timelines. These are timelines that we're looking at here. So if you follow the timeline, and we all should be following the timeline, not just some fucking idiot from Massachusetts doing this. And if we were all doing this, then we would have all the answers to everything we want to know. You know, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how fucking big deal this is. All right. So that same area. So just want to point out, right? So again, I'm using these eyes, that nose, these teeth, and this tongue sticking out of that guy there. But then, of course, you got this upside down guy I'm telling you about, with his eyes right here and his mouth open right here. Watch. Okay, see him? So I'm going to give you, now he's got several different faces as well too, so when I switch him in all different directions, you'll see what I mean. So we're starting to pick up the pupil and the eye here, which looks feline to me. It looks like one of them slice eyes, but we're getting that from down here. So to get him, I'm going to crop him from the bottom. This is going to be tricky for you because I'm doing them upside down, but I'll flip it over in a minute. But eye with a pupil, going with that nose right there in that same area. So again, his nose here is the tongue of this other guy, right? So there he is, boom. See him upside down? Eye, nose, and mouth upside down. So his teeth, so in other words, they're sharing parts just like they always do. It's image within image within image from the veil to the ground. Now I'm going to try to keep the camera steady. Hopefully my camera's locked. And then I'll show you him there. And I'm going to change. I'm trying to get his pupils in for you. There you go, with a smile on his face. And let me try to angle better. I'm going to try to crop right over his eyebrows. And now I'm going to come back this way so you can, I'm going to pull some light back in. There you go. There you go. So now his top eyes, right above the triangles, I'm getting now for the full face. For another, that's what I mean. It's image within image within image. So I could bring my camera down right now, and I'm doing all this upside down. Again, it's not a brag. I'm just saying that everybody will be able to do it upside down. And I'm being lazy because I'm not even leaving my stool. I could be doing all angles if I wanted to run this all the way over to the other side of the screen and all that kind of shit, you know. And this is not even a whole 3/4 of a moon that we're looking at here. Is it a 3/4? Yeah, maybe it is a 3/4. So it's a 3/4 moon, which I'm just pointing out that too is important to think about too, because when I do the full moons, and the full moons are all over the place too, you can get them. You can get it. It's better if you go get your own, but just to start out as a fun parlor trick to do with your family and friends, then I would say that what I'm showing you to do here is just as good. You can just use someone else's videos and photos, even NASA's videos and photos, because I've used them to make videos with. If they're still up, great, but if not, no big deal. They don't hide it. They just lie about it all. If they got you all fooled into thinking that the moon is something it's not, then nobody bothers to look. It's weird. It's fucking weird, man. But it's the same thing with the earth that we walk on. Same thing. Oh no, we got it all figured out for you. Even though it doesn't seem like anything that we told you it was, we're still some little bit more did come into the lens actually. There is a little more there I could go into. Yeah, so it's definitely a 3/4. But I'm just going to let it keep running through anyways. What am I at? I'm already at 30-something minutes, 29 minutes. So I'm already at 29 minutes anyway, so let's just keep running it through. I'm running through and pausing because I'm giving your eyes a second to adjust to the images in different directions. That's all. Just a couple seconds here, a couple seconds there. Because these characters I did videos on before too. Way over here you got an eye, a nose, and his mouth is down here open. He's using, is that the same mouth? I think it is. Yeah, because there's the tongue. So yeah, same area of that same mouth works for another image. I don't know if I feel like doing it right now. I'll just point it out and I'll press play. And I suggest anybody do this. Just take a moon photo or a moon video, even if it's on your computer. Make yourself a quick cropping tool and start looking around. Use your camera phone as a viewing device. You can use other viewing devices, I mean, to get used to it. But the camera seems the best to me because then you can make videos of it and you're going to impress the hell out of yourselves. All right, so one of the reasons why I go light to light is because it also helps to crop. I'll sometimes mention that. It helps me to crop the images for you. And I wonder if it's a purposeful thing also by the false creator slash creator to do his bio build. And when the false creator slash creator did his build, it was built based on division, and he separated night from day and moon from sun. So and those are not the only balls playing out there. Everything that they tell us in our school and our education, we're told that these what they call planets, and I hate talking about some of these things, but what they tell us are planets are part of the false creator slash creators balancing system and timing and all of that kind of thing. Because the true creator system, there is no time. I've mentioned this before. Time is all one, I should say. It's not that there is no time, because there's no such thing as zero. But there is there's something to all of that, and I'm still working on it and trying to figure it out myself. And I was talking before about using the true creator's time in order to travel, and we don't need to take our carbons with us when we do that. Once we are all familiar with using the system, whether it's communication, then we won't need the internet anymore. You won't need a phone anymore. You don't need a cell phone anymore. It's also evidence to show you when they started dumbing us down. In other words, when they started educating us. When they started educating us and giving us all this, what they told us was technology, futuristic. It's not. It's just shit. It's garbage, and it's just there to further our slavery. Is what it does. It doesn't do any. It's no benefit to the human system. It's all a lie, and I don't have time to argue about it all because I know everyone's gonna be tempted to argue. What does he mean? Because we got modern medicine today compared to what we had before. Yeah, it's all garbage. It's all a lie, all of it. So if you go look at the True Creator's work and True Creator system, then you'll understand why I'm saying that, and you'll realize that holy shit, it is all garbage. He's right, because what we originally had was way better than what we have today. Now, I admit that I don't know where the line is between the electromagnetic nanocarbon selves and the biosystem. So, in other words, how far electrical could we go, electromagnetically speaking, as an electromagnetic species? How far could we go without killing off our biosystem, our biocells? Because I don't have any evidence for it, but I believe that the biosystem has benefits to things like emotions and love and hate and feeling pain, and that kind of stuff, even physical pain, and all these different things that we won't experience, and I don't see any evidence for them experiences on, I don't want to call it the other side, but in the true creator's work, in the true creator's builders, because that's what we go back to after when this bioshell falls off, then we go back to that's where our energy ends up going, is back to the system. It never leaves the system. It's just that we get to experience this bio realm, this biosystem. We get to experience it. And, we're told in the Bibles and stuff that you'd want to, that it's better over there, right? It's better in heaven. They like in some religions, they'll tell you that. And it's better than here. And then people would think, well, then why do we want to be here then? And it's so hard. You don't want to take your own life and just so you can get to the other side, because the other side's not really better. If this was lower, this would be coming in a little better if this was lower. Um, Pause it. Yeah. Trying to decide. Anyways, I got lost in the imagery and then I distracted myself. I'm thinking about going back to a full moon and grabbing a full moon as well to do this. I probably will, because there's, what am I at, 35 minutes now, alright. Yeah, this is good though, still. Am I too close? Is that why? So I've been blabbing away about the internet thing and my videos getting shut down. I'm going through a lot of shit with it. Having a hard time. I mean, this does happen worse sometimes than other times, or maybe it's because I get away from it and then it doesn't bother me so much for a while because I'm like away from it. I'm just doing a video once a week or something like that. I'll throw a video up, or, there are times when that happens. Or if I have no choice at all and I get shut out of my videos or out of my channels and I'm locked out and I just say fuck them and I go do something else for a while. But it sucks, man. It sucks because it puts so much energy into it to try to get it out there and it goes nowhere. It's just very frustrating. I'm going to try to pull back a little bit because it just seems like I'm getting a lot of glare. Yeah, and again, I'm going to let it go light to light so that it crops as you watch the light take out shadows and surpasses the shadows. It leaves you able to see certain images singularly. You'll all of a sudden one will stand out at you. So that's why I do that. I'm just hoping that it gets through to somebody. Yeah, I feel very scatterbrained. I went through when I was in the right mood and I was in a good mood. I went and made those videos. And then they don't make it up. They get deleted, sabotaged, scrambled, what have you. It just sucks. I do like this guy that he's interviewing, and again, I'm on the search for somebody, a realistic, real, true person, just somebody who's not to be full of shit about everything. So this is the first time I've heard him, is when I'm making this video now. So I'm going to turn him back on. I'm going to listen to him through the next video because this one's already almost over. And I was the one doing all the talking. And I'm gonna keep rolling through these moon videos for a couple of videos just without talking, so that I want to see what the hell is I'm getting bagged for too. Is it George Galloway's channel? Is that the one that I was playing that they bagged me on the other channel? That he was talking about the war stuff. That's why I'm playing this video here now, because I want to see if that's what's going on. And if not, then what is my question.
Left.
And not what
I've always
YouTube will tell me,
wondered
but the reality of it.
how Germans have been able to be subjugated by the Americans for so long
Bryce Green. Bryce Green is his name. Seems like a nice guy.
when it's so obvious that that's what the U.S. is doing. In fact, this entire war was started in part because of this desire to separate Germany and Russia so that Germany could not have the access to the cheap LNG, the cheap natural gas from Russia to feed its manufacturing sector. And in fact, this was actually discussed in the RAND report from 2019. This same RAND report, your listeners and viewers might be familiar with this. This is the one that suggested that the best way to overextend Russia would be to pour weapons into Ukraine, even though the report acknowledged that that may cause Russia to invade. Another section of that report said that part of the critical objectives of the U.S. should be to get Europe off of Russian natural gas and to put it on American natural gas. And you can see American uh, natural gas companies; their profits are through the roof, so they're happy. But you're seeing headlines in the business press about how Germany's manufacturing sector is suffering, how it's at a serious risk point. And so at some point you have to wonder, why are they letting this happen? And it seems that Germany was actually very hesitant about getting involved in this entire proxy war to begin with. They were very hesitant to send the Leopard tanks, which they just sent, and they didn't do it until the U.S. agreed to send its own tanks. And even if you go back earlier in the war, you can find a lot of resistance to the U.S.-led proxy war on behalf of Germany. And I suspect it's because a lot of them understand what's happening to them. And I don't know why. There's a lot of stuff going on that I'll never be privy to. But for some reason, they're unable to break this hold that the U.S. has over them. Uh, and in fact, just last week, German officials were quoted in the press as saying that they're open to the possibility that the West was behind this attack. And so that's starting to be discussed openly. And then this morning, you have Seymour Hersh's piece drop. I can only imagine the conversations that are going on between German and American diplomats, and also between Germans themselves. How are they going to handle their country after their sovereignty has clearly been challenged by the United States? It was threatened before, but now it's been directly challenged. It will be interesting to see how this turns out, to see whether or not the German people will accept accept that their government is going to kowtow to the United States, or are they going to assert their own sovereignty? Are they going to assert their own right to make a deal with Russia if they decide to make a deal with Russia, China, the U.S. enemies? Are they going to be able to conduct diplomacy as a sovereign nation, or are they going to be chained to the United States for the foreseeable future? And that's a serious question that has a lot of bearing on the future of Europe as an entity in general.
Yeah, I like this guy. He's a nice guy. I just wanted to point something out real quick though, because the smoking apparatus for the man on the moon image that I was talking about, that smoking apparatus is right here. It's at a different angle now, but so the man on the moon, forget about him for a minute. So you say this is a weird looking thing. What animal out of the feline, canine, rodent, ape, human, and beast could that smoking apparatus that appeared to be? At least when I look at it, I see something coming out of a person's lips like that. Me being a human and knowing the human rules, I automatically say smoking apparatus. But of course, now that I know what I know now, I know that in all different directions, it's going to be used as a lot of different things. So here's what it's used in this at this angle. So you got eye, snout, upper snout, and actually that snout divides here for one image. So if you crop it right there, if you crop it, you'll get that one. And then it also works for that same two eyes, or maybe even a larger set of eyes that are those eyes are within, that also work with this down here being the lower jaw of that canine, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And there'll be better angles for him than probably what I'm doing now. He also works with of a very funny looking nose, and the chin comes down here of a more looks like a human image, but that nose doesn't go all the way out here where the black area is. It stops right here. It stops right before there, that funny nose. Because that same human face, using those same eyes, goes eye, little nose, little pudge nose looking right at us with a mouth down here. It's image within image within image from the veil to the ground. And then you have this other eye working with this other eye way over here with a nose and a mouth looking off in another direction of a species that I don't even know what it is. So I'd have to go in on it, move the camera around and all that stuff. And then you got the very large one of these big black eyes working with the nose and the mouth of that larger image. It's image within image. Now when the light's changing out, you can see still through here, you can see eye, nose, and mouth. You can still see images popping through here and there. But like I said, they'll appear to be more solo because you have all this glare going on in one direction. Plus you have a cropping going on because it's leaving the telescope, it's leaving the view of the telescope. So you're able to crop the images in several different directions, put it that way. And only the light can do that. It's the same thing I was doing on the bushes the other night. I aimed the light at the bushes only in one direction. If I wanted to change the lights and shadows, how easy is that? Move the light around, right? So during the day, you don't have that advantage because the sun is providing light